Good morning, dear students. How are you all? Hope you all are fine. Open your SST book, block number 10. Today we are going to learn block number 10, Emerging Regional Cultures. Have you all opened your books? Block number 10. In this block, we are going to learn language and social values, the tradition of painting, the story of Kathak, the cultural development in Bengal, a case study. Emerging regional cultures. We often hear people talking about how they celebrate festivals and other special days in a way that is different from our festival. What does this signify? You must have heard from your friends that how they celebrate their festival, which is different from us. Or they have some different festivals also, which are very different from us. India is a land of diverse culture that has varied method of worship, food and clothing habits, and customs and tradition. Each region has its own custom and traditions, languages, and food habits that are unique to that region alone. And it is on this basis that the states of India have divided. The language used in a state along with the food, music, dance, poetry, paintings, and clothes together form the culture of a place. As you all are aware, in India there are various states, and these all states have the different culture. As in Maharashtra, Marathi peoples, their food, their clothing, their festivals are different from Karnataka or West Bengal or Chennai. This all together makes a culture. This forms a culture. However, these customs, tradition and rituals have not always existed in a region as they do today. They have evolved over a long period of time and continue to do so even now. The intermingling of local traditions and ideas across different regions has brought about changes in the culture of a place. Let us read about some of these changes that have evolved over the years. You know, today whichever cultures or traditions or customs and rituals, these are not formed in one day. It took hundreds of years, and slowly, gradually it is changing. The process is continuing, the process is on. Language and social values. In medieval times, the North India was mainly under the influence of Persian, Urdu and Hindi, that is Hindi languages. The other languages started emerging in some regions. Two such languages were Malayalam and Bengali. During medieval time, there were two main languages. Which were those? Malayalam and Bengali. But in North, Persian, Urdu and Hindi was followed, while in South, Malayalam and Bengali. Historians believe that Malayalam, the language used in Kerala today, was probably the first regional language to have development during the medieval period under the Cheras. We know this form the inscriptions. You can see figure 1, how they are writing. The inscription was different and is different today also. As Hindi or English, this writing is different. The script is different, which date back to the 12th century. The temple theatre in Kerala used Sanskrit epics which showed the influence of Sanskrit on Malayalam. In the 12th century, One of the first literary works that gained prominence under the Cheras was Lila Tilakam, written in Manipravalam, a combination of Malayalam and Sanskrit. Before the Mughal rulers made Bengal their Suba Bengali, had already started emerging as the regional language. You can see figure 2. This was despite the fact that Persian was the official language of Bengal since it was under the rule of independent sultans. Although many people feel that Bengali too is derived from Sanskrit, the text discovered here suggests that people in this region did not use Sanskrit until the 4th century. Bengal's official language was Persian, as independent sultan ruled over there, and many people felt that Bengali is to derive from that people in the regions did not use Sanskrit until the 4th century. In fact, the people of Bengali spoke a language that was a mixture of a local dialect and Magadhi. The Bengali language came further under the influence of Sanskrit when the Guptas came to power here and started settling the Brahmins in the region. From this we can see how the languages changed, and these languages changed the script, the culture, the tradition. Early Bengali literature is divided into 2 categories. One was the translation of the Sanskrit epic like Mangala Kavya and the Bhakti literature of the Vaishnava sect. And the other was the literature circulated orally in the form of ballads, folk tales and fairy tales. These emerged in the eastern region where there was very little influence of the Brahmins. From here we can make out in south and in north how the influence of the people, this influence of people on language and culture and tradition came over. Regional traditions. Customs that became an integral part of life in a particular society are usually derived from the religious practices, social values and beliefs popular in a region. Same you can see in Maharashtra, our culture, our virtues, our regional facts and religious facts. They are different, and it is same from our religious practice. It came from a religious practice, our social values and belief, which is popular in our region. One such religious practice that came into being during the medieval period was worship of Jagannath. Jagannath means Vishnu in Puri, Odisha, which gave rise to the Jagannath cult. Many historians believe that this worship of Jagannath can be tracked back to the tribal practice of the region, which worship wooden image of local deities similar to the idols of Jagannath. Subhadra and Balram subsequently placed in the temple. In the 12th century, the ruler of region, Anantavarman, constructed the temple of Jagannath. Here in figure 3 you can see it. His successor, Ananga Bhima III, declared himself the deputy of the god Jagannath, as Jagannath Puri developed into one of the 4 important pilgrimage centers or Char Dham of Hindu beliefs. The rich donation from the pilgrims made the temple socially and politically powerful. As a result, all the rulers who tried to conquer the region also tried to take control over the temple in order to be accepted by the local peoples. The Rajput tradition of Rajasthan are based on the social values, ideals, and the aspirations of the regional rulers, who were mostly Rajputs. Although many communities have always lived in Rajasthan, the Rajput tradition became part of the regional culture because most areas of Rajasthan were ruled by Rajput Khans. These rulers followed the ideal that were part of the heritage, such as fighting for honor and friends, and fighting until the end in a battle rather than accepting the humiliation of defeat. See figure 4. This is tradition of chivalry, valor, loyalty, friendship, and love became an integral part of the Rajasthani culture. The heroic deed of the Rajput filtered down the ages through various legendary stories, poems, and songs recited by special group of bards or singer called Bhopa. The Rajput women too found a special place in these legends. They sometimes became the cause of conflict as Rajput men fought to protect the honor of their women or to win their attention. They were also portrayed as equally brave as the Rajput men in stories that describe them as fighting or making sacrifice, like Jahura and Sati, to show that they followed their husbands in life, accepting the norms of honor and valor. The tradition of painting. Painting has been a form of human expression ever since the time humans lived in caves and forests. From tribal art and frescoes, it developed into different art forms that flourished under the patronage of various kings around India. One of the most interesting forms of paintings that became popular in the medieval period is the miniature painting. Miniature or small size painting despite a slice of life as a colorful picture, and were generally created on cloth or paper. Some of the earliest miniatures were done on palm leaves and wood. In the 16th century, the Mughal emperors commissioned artists to work for them in their special workshop called karkhanas. These artists illustrate in bright colors with a generous use of gold and silver. What the emperor did, this event he attended, the battles he fought, and the court he presided over. You can see in figure 5. They also painted portraits of them. Figure 5 shows some of the distinct features of the Mughal paintings. See, in this figure 5, you can see how these paintings were and what all they painted. Some information we can derive from this painting also. You'll get an idea of during that period, how the kings were, the peoples were. Maybe you can make out some of the tradition also by watching this painting. The paintings showed the profiles of faces with expression. They had ornamental borders, often of gold and silver. The paintings had a detailed description of nature, birds, animals, trees and flowers, since they did not believe in spreading religion through paintings. Some of the paintings displayed stories from the epic and the Panchatantra, which were painted while being translated to Persians. Emergence of Pahari, Deccani and Rajasthani miniatures. With the decline of the Mughal Emperor and the invasions by Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah, the artists started moving to the Deccan, Rajasthan and the hilly region of Himachal Pradesh for patronage from regional rulers. Although these artists influenced the regional art with their Mughal style of painting, some of the distinct features of the region did not change. They continued to paint miniature portraits of the rulers and court census, but embellished them using the religious themes as per the order of the ruler. Rajasthani paintings. The main characteristic of miniature Rajasthani paintings, see the figure 6, was to use of red, yellow, blue, brown and white with some use of gold and silver. The women were depicted in their fine regional clothes. Night scenes were painted attractively with black and smoky grey colors, whereas the moon and stars were painted in white. These miniature Rajasthani paintings adorned the walls of Havelis and palaces. The Basholi or Kangra, figure 7, you can see the Basholi or Kangra school of art emerged in the foothills of Himachal Pradesh around the same time. They are also known as Pahari paintings. As Himachal Pradesh is in a mountain area, it's a mountaineer like mountain place, so that is called as Pahari, or we call it as Pahadi. So the paintings were also known as Pahadi paintings. These miniature painting done mainly on pots, walls and cloth had distinct borders, mostly in red, yellow and black, and sometimes with leaves and flowers and Sanskrit shlok. The themes of these paintings portrayed Vaishnavite tradition with the use of softer blue and green colors. Gold and silver were sparingly used in the paintings. They were used only for borders and ornaments. In many of the Kangana miniatures, we see trees bending over a woman as a symbolic gesture and to beautify the landscape. The story of Kathak. Another important form of human expression is dancing. The origin of most Indian classical dance form can be traced back to religion, since they were performed in temples to narrate religious stories. Of this, Kathak evolved significantly in the medieval period. The term Kathak originated from Sanskrit word Katha, meaning story. The Kathakars or storytellers were important community of storytellers in the temple of North India. They narrated religious tales using gesture and songs. This slowly evolved into a dance form during the Bhakti movement in the 15th and 16th centuries, when the Kathakars started narrating stories based on the life of Lord Krishna. But when Mughal came to rule in power, they patronized this dance form and Kathak was formed, where regularly in Mughal courts, where over time it acquired many Persian features in custom and actions. After the Mughal rulers, it developed into two styles or gharanas. One as Jaipur Gharana and the other as Lucknow Gharana, under the patronage of the rulers of Rajasthan and the Nawab of Awadh. All the dances, folk, tribal or classical, are all ultimately forms of human expressions to be enjoyed by preserved. And dance, as you all know, is incomplete without music. And dance complement each other. And during this medieval period, by the Delhi Sultanate and Mughals, many new instruments were also introduced. The fusion of Persian, Arabian and Indian music evolved to become the music of India. The musical instruments, this introduction of these musical instruments like sitar and tabla, they were an integral part of Kathak performance along the new ragas for the dancers to enact gesture, interest of music and sense in medieval India. And this time new ragas also came. They were composed and sung specially by the famous musicians. Main Tansen, to enter the Emperor Akbar at his Darbar. Other musical instruments introduced in the medieval period. And these instruments were Rabab and Sarangi. In figure 9 you can see both the instruments. And during this time, singing culture also grew, like Qawwalis, Bhajans and Gurbani. These were sung or started by Bhakti and Sufi saints around this time too. In 15th and 16th century, and during this time, Ghazal also started, especially in Mughal courts and the regional rulers. Now let's see cultural development in Bengal, a case study. There were many changes in India during the medieval period in terms of religion, language and culture. This was due to the interaction between traders and travelers and the advent of Persian culture through the Delhi Sultanate. And Bengal was strongly impacted by these developments. Let us use Bengal as a case study to learn about the regional development of that period. And during British, when they came in power and Mughal emperors were declined, the Bengal region rapidly evolved. British ruler came in 19th century. Bengal was a regional kingdom under the Palas before it came under to Sultans in 15th century. And the Bengali dialect was a united language spoken in the western part of Bengal and was constantly evolving under the influence of the tribal language. Which tribal languages? Persian and European languages. And when Bengal came under the influence of Mughals, and people were encouraged to migrate to the southeast region of Bengal from the lesser fertile regions. And due to the richness of soil, these migrants, they started cultivating. And what they cultivated? Rice, because the soil was rich and fertile and water was easily available, and cultivators merged with the peasant communities. The officials and the functionaries received land on which they built religious places. This brought a transformation in the religious practice of this region due to the migrants, the foreign rulers and due to the traders. The communication started, and this brought many changes in regional or cultivation or tradition. Now, what was the religious development in those times? And the early settlers needed to be reassured to settle in unsuitable conditions of the Delta region. This time, the Sufi saints, leaders of other religious groups, daring soldiers and coloniers took on the role of spiritual guides and were addressed as Peer. And this term, Peer, is also commonly used to refer to the personification of natural element like animal and plant, known as animistic spirits. The Peer, this word means, this is referred to personification of natural element like animal, plants, which are animistic spirits. All these beliefs began to cult of Peer or holy spirits with divine power. People started worshipping as time went by. Even today the shrines of Peer are visited by the faithful. This time the individuals and the groups who became powerful encouraged the building of temples. The initial temples were modest. These temples were modest, of terracotta structures with thatched roof. You can see in figure 10, which were built by groups of oil pressers and bell makers. And the local deities, these gods, they soon found their places in temples built of bricks, and that had a new roof structure called Dochala and Chauchala. Once there was economic prosperity in the region, the temples were built square platforms, in a square platform with elaborate paintings, tiles and tablets, but the inner walls were simple and plain. If you see the temples of Bishnupur in Bankura district of Bengal, they are the excellent example of the Bengali form of architecture. Here you can see it in figure 11. And naturally, the food habit of region are generally influenced by what is easily available in the area. And as you know, Bengal is near sea coast. So over there, fish are easily available. The fertile delta region was also favorable for growing rice. Hence, the staple diet of the people of Bengal evolved to become fish and rice, because this food was easily available over there. But this posed a dilemma for Brahmins who did not eat. Dilemmas means they were confused. This food is easily available, but they were in dilemma. They were in a confused situation whether to eat or no, as previously they were not used to eat this food, fish and rice. So they were confused because of non-vegetarian food. They never used, or they ate non-vegetarian food, because this food was not allowed as per Vedic rules. To solve this, in 13th century, Sanskrit source Virad Dharma, Purana writers, that the local Brahmanical authorities relaxed this rule for Bengali Brahmins and allowed them to eat certain type of fish available in the region. Now this food is easily available, but not eating, this was making them confused, and due to this Sanskrit source Virad Dharma Purana rights that the local Brahmin can eat this certain types of fish with the rules, with some of the restrictions. They allowed them to eat this food. Only certain types of fish were allowed to eat. Here you must have seen how the food habits, the trade habits, the rulers, they got impact on emerging religion cultures, how the cultures were different from one another. It was only or it was depend by the environment over there, which the rulers, where the rulers came from other parts of the country, or the foreigner rulers, where they brought new other religions, and due to this regional culture differed, and some of the places were highly attracted with this culture, so the culture emerged. Hope you all have understood this. So till then, bye bye. Let's meet on the online lecture. Bye. Have a nice day.